This show is sponsored by the Comics Shop. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, and straight up, g'day Nick May. Well, my name's Leigh Chalker, creator of Battle for Bustle, and this is the first Chinwag in a while. Not quite sure of the number. I think maybe number 24, but it doesn't really matter. You know, show must go on. So tonight, I'm with three, great mates, heroes of mine. I got Mr. Ryan Vella, I got Rob Spedsy Lyle, and I got Mr. Ben Sullivan down here. Now, tonight's going to be a little bit of a different Chinwag because I've got to be honest with you, I'm absolutely packing myself. It's been a while since I've been on, so I'm very nervous. So I've, got my mates here with me to help me out. So I guess. Tonight's show, I didn't really know how to articulate it, but being the first one back, I sort of guess I wanted to talk about creativity because over the last, since the beginning of the year, I guess, been going through some stuff, but I have found that creativity has certainly helped me out and kept me going. It's a positive. It can save lives. It can be very fruitful to your being spiritually, mentally, and just allows you to get things out of your system that really should be better out than in. So tonight, I guess I just wanted to talk to these guys because I'll let them do most of the talking after the intro, but for the last 2 years, myself and these three have been working on, I guess, a little project that was a little project that's sort of, the seeds become a rather larger tree, and we're all, falling in love with this character in this timeline and stuff. And after 2 years of sending pages across Australia and, like text messages and doing all these things and phone calls and getting it all together, Ring Around the Rosie, as it is called, has come to fruition. It is in print, and we will be talking about that a little bit later on. But tonight is the first time that the four of us, co-creators and, such, have come together. And I guess it seemed like the best way to articulate creativity was with four dudes that have created something that is close to their heart, and it is now here. So I'm not going to follow the usual process of who, what, where, when, how, or why this evening. I guess it's just going to be a little toolbox meeting and have a good chat, good laugh, and see where we go from here on the cusp of Ring Around the Rosie being released. So I'm going to go first to kick it off. Rosie for me started with the turtle, and it started on a Friday night drink and draw with a spotlight on Spedsy's character, Frederick Cheloney. And from there, we got to here. So I'm going to pass it over to Spedsy for a moment while I have a drink of water.
Rob, do you have a picture of Cheloney there with you?
Am I allowed to show this? So we've got.
I was wondering the same thing.
Leigh, so we got some proofs made, and in the back, we sort of detail the story of how it came to be. And in the back is a picture of Leigh's interpretation of my character, Frederick Cheloney.
Oh, that's the first one.
Yeah. And so for those who are familiar with my whatnots, my name is Rob. Hey, best known for the size of my nose. Biggest nose in Australian comics. No Ledger Award for that, but alas, I can smell around corners, so I've got that going for me. So I do a very cartoony style of art in my books, and to see Leigh's interpretation, well, that night was really amazing to see everybody's interpretation, but Leigh's particular interpretation spoke to me because while my books that I draw might seem silly and whatnot, I have a deep love for things that are grimy, dirty, dank, medieval fantasy, anything like any story that takes place in a dark alleyway, I'm in. And Leigh did a version of my character that I flippantly said, wow, that looks like a plague doctor. And ... the next thing I remember saying was, man, I would write the hell out of a plague doctor story if you were going to draw it. I don't remember your exact words, Leigh, but it was something to the effect of, well, man, if you write it, I'll have a read, or something to that.
I'm pretty sure there were probably a few more expletives in that, but because we're trying to keep the show PG, we'll let everyone out there listening just have a little guess and interpret what Leigh was saying. But it was full of enthusiasm.
He said, mate, if you want to come up with something, send it through.
Wow, yeah. There you go. Bren's got the transcription.
I do.
I love that we've had a few production meetings. I affectionately call in the Rosie office, but we've never done the full 4. We've only done 2 lots of 3, just the nature of trying to get us in the same room. So this is quite a fun deal being together.
It is. Yes, it is. So that's that is my recollections, and then I do remember. I remember getting quite enthusiastic about the thought. I can do that to myself sometimes, and then at that stage, I was fairly heavily drinking too. You know, it was just what it was at the time. You know, and this plague doctor seemed like a really cool deal. I love that sort of stuff too, because I'm a huge like Solomon Kane fan, and you know, like I love all that fantastical, you know, like medieval sort of gritty stuff too. So it appealed to me there. And then I remember doing, which I hope you're not going to play this ever, but I remember doing a recording of a story synopsis that Rob sent me through, because I like finding voices in characters and stuff, you know, and I find it cool that, you know, sometimes when I'm drawing, I'm like got a character's voice in my head. I just find it easier to relate to what I'm drawing and that. So I did a one-man reading with several voices of Rob's storyline and recorded it. And one night, as you do at like 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, look, Rob would love to hear this, you know, like it's not like Rob, you know, it's got anything else to do, like, you know, maybe sleep or kids or wife and that, you know. So I sent him through this recording.
You did this alone first, Leigh?
Yeah, the recording, yeah, man. Yeah,
okay.
In the studio, you know, and sent it through to Rob, and Rob, like, I don't know what he was doing, but it's got pretty much straight back to me and was like, wow, okay, no problem. And then
it was definitely a different approach that I had at one time. I tried to be a screenwriter for a while, and I wrote a screenplay, and I had my brother and his friend act out a scene, and it's surreal hearing your words like brought to life like that. And so, you know, the synopsis that I sent to Leigh was rough. It was just to convey to him my idea, and then for him to be speaking. You know, and there was a few, as you're sort of writing out a plot, there are a few lines of dialogue that pop into your head, and you're like, oh, I have to include that because that's a must to the storyline. So I'll just, you know, so it almost read like a bit of a play, like narrator, and then you know, set the scene and then the dialogue back and forth. But I'm just writing to Leigh, the artist. So I'm not like the last thing I wrote, and I regret it now. I mean, stupid, silly regret. But I said the last line was mother and son hug. Now he's reading it to me like he's reading it back going, and then Rosie stepped through the door, hatchet in her hand and blood dripping from her wounds. and then mother and son hugged. And I was like, oh no, I should have written mother and son embrace. Like, because like I wasn't being writery with it. I was just like conveying the idea to like the panel description almost. But when he read it in that voice, I was like, no one says hug, like, and then they hugged. Like, that's not the line. Yeah, that was one of
work with what I was given, mate.
Says that here.
Oh, did it really? Awesome. Yeah, that was one of the few. I mean, I know you've said it a few times. Never let anyone hear that. That's in the vault for when we're long dead. I'll give it to my kids so if there's a Rosie documentary, like 50 years after we're all dead, maybe that's when people can hear it. But until then, the secret is safe, my friend.
Thank you, man. Like that keeps me up at night, I tell you. And I remember originally it was going to be called Hatchet because, and it was going to be 2 parts because this is where Ryan comes into it. Because Ryan and I had been friends for a while and doing stuff, and we wanted to work together. We hadn't quite worked out what we were going to do, and we were talking about pencils and inks and all that sort of stuff. And I guess Spedsy sent through the script, which was for 2 parts at the time, from memory.
Yeah, I think...
Only truth, Mum. You know that.
I've got just a side note. Your mum, I have to give her a huge shout out. She is all over. Whenever I post something about my comics, the first person to write like an encouraging word underneath. So, got huge love for Carol and Chalker out there.
Mate, join the crew there because her support is invaluable to me and the community, and it is noticed, Mum. I told you that the other day. So thank you very much, and for everyone out there. So Ryan and I wanted to do some stuff, and then Comics do the anthology book presents Noir, and I don't remember the exact story or who it was. That's neither here nor there. But a story became available late, like an 8-page story, to like, can we get something to fill this? And a few quick, text messages and such. And Ryan and I had found our little thing we were working on. So that was interesting to me because I was nervous. That was the first time I'd ever actually worked with someone else. I'm up until that point had never collaborated with anyone, and we'll get to it if I remember. But like for any young person out there, anyone that wants to draw or create, man, collaborations are amazing if you find the right people. Let me tell you that. So it's when you gel, it's a brilliant chemistry, man. And we started posting pages from Townsville to Mackay. Pencils and inks were coming back and different things like that. And this process went on for a little while. And man, I remember the first thing that I ever drew for Ring Around the Rosie was the actual cover, that's on the comic book. And that was the first image that came back inked from Ryan. And I remember at that stage thinking to myself, like, wow, okay, no problem. I'm getting taken to school here. I want to learn. So Ryan kicked me off on the whole seeing what other people were doing and things, and working out. And from this little point, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Vella for his recollections. Go ahead, bud.
Actually, you sent me 2 pieces. I had to choose. Actually, the other one's never been inked. No, there's that one.
Not
That's
this
right.
one?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Well, must have been that then. Yeah. Okay. No, that must have been the other one then. It did get inked. There is one that never got inked. I'm pretty sure. It's one thing, a close up.
I'm pretty sure there was, man.
It was only one. It was only one right at the start, and I think but the other 2 got done. So I was just glad the mail worked well for that, and the art didn't get lost.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys. When you guys were saying that you were doing that, I was like, did you take photocopies or anything first? No. I was like,
And
Mate, honestly, I don't even know if I did. This is how much of an idiot I was. I think I just got too excited and caught up in the moment. Just went, yeah, jam them in a packet, get them off to Brian. You know, like express post will be safe as houses. So anyway, we had. I remember I did send a page to Ryan, and no, Ryan sent it to me to do and for something, and the express post took 2 weeks to get from Mackay to Townsville, man. It would have been easier to like just meet in Bowen and have a pie and a coke.
Yeah.
Up and,
a pie? You're speaking my language now.
Yeah,
That'd be right.
Yeah, I got that meat stuff in them, man. No one likes meaty pie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete. And thank you for everyone who's sending in comments. I do apologise that I haven't seen any. I'm just happy to be catching up with my mates. So thank you. Keep them rolling in. So keep going, Ryan.
What was it? I remember when you first approached me about it. It was called Hatchet at the very start, and I don't know much about the story. But when you told me about the name change, I'm like, what is this about? You went from the ring around the Rosie. I'm like, where? Like what? What? Just by the title, it makes sense once you see it. But yeah, I remember that. I never really done any medieval type stuff. Not really like that. So that was interesting to do. I thought about the whole thing and the period costumes, and I had to think about that when I was drawing bits of it. Like, has stuff been invented then? What could I use? You know what I mean? Things like that. So that was interesting.
I'm glad you went with those thoughts because, man, I don't think I looked at anything. I just think I was like just drawing at that stage, man. And like I was praying to God. I had no idea because I draw really loosely and I prefer the inking side of things. Like the inking's like where I, like to play, and things come out. And I was sending you pencils that I would like pencil for myself, and then not with a lot of detail. And I was thinking to myself, oh no, maybe I should have added more to it. I didn't realize, man. And then you were just sending back these like almost like wood stuff, man.
Loose is good, man. Like doesn't make a difference. It's always fun. You know what I mean? You can just get it done, really.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just cool experience, just a learning experience, man. Because it's like for me, because it's hey Dan, and
Yo, Dan.
Yeah, I loved it, man. But and then I remember it came out in Presents Noir, issue 3, the first 8 pages. Because at that stage, by the time that had come out, I had given up drinking, and I guess I was going through a couple of months of not feeling so well, and wasn't really doing much drawing. It sort of hit. I'd taken on a lot of work over 18 months trying to learn and just in life and stuff like that, and I think it just all culminated in one big hit for me. And I remember texting Spedsy, and I remember saying to him, like, man, I think I'm done. I don't think I can do the whole Rosie thing anymore, man. I'm finished up. But about a month beforehand, I had a crazy idea with Spedsy, and I'd only met Ben on a Friday night drink and draw, and sometimes a Friday night drink and draws you don't get to really, like speak or talk about stuff with people and that. But I'd often admired Ben's artwork, busy man, climbing the ranks, painting, like beautiful work, like right on point. And I just had this crazy notion. I said to Spedsy, what do you reckon if, I just randomly text, Ben Sullivan and, see if he wants to do this.
And I said, not a chance. There's not a chance you'll be able to. Like, I had been pestering. So for those who don't know, Ben and I do work for Gary Della as part of Reverie, but never together. We had never done anything together. I'm a monstrous fan of Ben, well, Ben the person and Ben's art. And I would hound Gary, when do I get to be on a book with Ben? Oh, one day, it's coming. But the main thing being that every time I spoke to Ben, he had 1,000 projects on. And, so the prospect of him joining our little book, and let's just say there wasn't a big sack of cash being offered or anything. And so it was just like, that would be awesome, obviously, but there's no chance. The man is so busy. But never underestimate the charisma of Leigh Chalker and the power of, I guess, maybe a fun idea that Ben was into.
Yeah, I was thinking, Rob, if we have actually worked on anything yet, apart from this.
Yeah.
We have, haven't we?
We have, but not really you and me. Like,
no.
We've done Taunt Southern Squadron, which...
I didn't talk to you at all about it, though.
I wrote it with Dave DeVries, and then you and Dave DeVries did all the chatting.
Yeah.
And I was like, one day I'm going to snatch Ben up, and we're going to do a book together. And then along comes Rosie.
Yeah.
Which brings me to a random phone call, because Ben, you're a hard man to track down. If
really?
You don't know, yeah, like
he's got two phones and neither of them work. He's got 4 Instagrams and none of them he doesn't know the password to any of them.
Yeah, well, the funny part is, I was saying to him the other day, it's like, dude, what's your home address? I'll send you these pictures to Ink. And he's like,
3 houses, doesn't live in it.
Either this number or that number.
Yeah. They came up in my phone, predictive text, my address, and I thought, like, how do they know my address? Suddenly conspiratorial, but it's just predictive text. So it just threw me. So I forgot my address. How bad is that? That's
yeah. Oh man, it happens. You're a busy man. See, blame busyness.
Yeah.
There you go. Like, don't know what I'm drawing here. Got to be somewhere on Tuesday night, 7:30. But yeah, I remember a Saturday night, and it was probably, well, it was definitely within the last week of me drinking, and yeah, randomly got your phone number, and we'd agreed to have a conversation on this. It was a Sunday, and I was pretty nervous. I hadn't met you or spoken to you before, and I don't know what I was expecting from the phone call, to be honest with you. I just thought, to hell with it, I'll just talk while talking.
I think we both go for it.
Yeah, and then
that was a
I don't think we ever really spoke about anything specific, man. I think we were just talking about art and comics and thought processes and things, and and then you just said, man, no worries, send me the script, leave it with me. So I was going through obviously getting sober and stuff, and didn't feel like drawing, and then probably a month into it, I'm starting to get like an email of a picture of, like Rosie, part 2, and it's Ben's pencils and stuff. And
and this is after you've announced to me and Ryan that Rosie was dead.
Yeah.
That the project was on the infinite back burner.
Yeah, I just hit a point, Ben, like like battery's dead. I need time, like.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this timeline either myself, because I think I started drawing your pages first, didn't I?
You did.
That's right. That's right.
I just didn't listen.
No, that was cool, because, man, that was one of those moments where I looked at your interpretation of the first page of what I'd penciled on the first page as my interpretation, and it was just, wow. It honestly, man, that was a page where I looked at for an awfully long time, because
that is true.
It was the same, man, but just such a different perspective and angles and things,
So I must have gone off the script not what you'd sent as drawings, I guess, because
Mm.
I saw the drawings afterwards. So yeah, that was interesting. I think that was book 1 that I started too.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you were just like, no, that's cool. I'll just start issue 2. So a month later, pages are starting to come through. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to draw ever again, But ding on my phone, ooh, spark. It's like, ooh, I've got to ink that. How do I do that? The brain starts going. And then like a couple of days later, another page of yours came through, and I started getting like 2 or 3 of them. And I was like really looking at it going like, ooh. And I'd never inked anyone before. So this is where this whole creative conversation comes into. I'd never inked anyone. And then suddenly it's like I'm going from inking myself, with my stuff, to getting like Ben Sullivan's work, man. I was freaking out, like really, just whoa, this was like crazy stuff. And I remember.
So before that, you'd stopped drawing for like a while.
Yeah, probably a month, man. I reckon at that
Really?
stage. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you not drawing.
Well, just getting sober and stuff, man, just didn't put me in the headspace for long periods of concentration and stuff, So
and also you'd hit a few creative. You turned your creativeness kind of into a job almost, and you took on, and we're all kind of guilty of it. When it rains, it pours. You made a bit of a name for yourself, so people came asking for stuff, and you said, "Yep. Oh, I'd love to. Yep." And then it was just like, and then everyone started going, "Where are those pages or whatever?" And you were like, "I am drowning in art," and the only way, at least from my vantage point, it seemed like the only way for you was just cold turkey the whole thing. Particularly like Rosie was like, no one was beating your door down for it, but it was an easy, like, I can chop that one off easy, and that's a load off my mind. Yeah, that was, I guess we should like tell people, for those that don't know, that Rosie was written as 3 separate chapters, like one comic book size 22-page story, but 3 chapters, so that these 3 guys could pencil for each other and ink each other. And so when we talk about that, so the first chapter was Leigh's to pencil and Ryan's to ink, that when Ben said, send me the script, he got the full 3 chapters script, and Ben was to pencil chapter 2. But a miscommunication resulted in Ben repenciling stuff that Leigh had already penciled, which was which was such a unique, like, because I was already like living in this world where like I have imagined, wished to be a writer where artists that I like send me my words in picture form, you know what I mean? And so to be getting pages from you guys, and I explain this in length in the back of Rosie, but you're 3 very unique styles that I am a fan of, and I could pick in a lineup of thousands of artists. I could go, that's Ryan's, that's Ben's, that's Leigh's. So then to see, I never really appreciated the relationship between a penciler and an inker, because I can see when you guys team up on a piece, I can see you both in it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
And so, like, I'm very fortunate to have received some pages on some projects and be like, oh, holy crap. But then it was another level to like just learning, just going, oh, wow, like it really makes a difference, so-and-so inking versus, I can see the Ryan on top of the Ben and vice versa. And
yeah, that's so true. It's kind of a, I mean, drawing yours, Ryan, looking at someone's hand that closely, it's kind of, sounds silly, but it is kind of intimate thing in a way, like, because you're looking at the way someone's hand is working, like on the page, and trying to stick to that not only closely, but putting you into it as well. That's a really nice thing to sort of share, I think.
I 100% agree with you there. For me, I only had that thought today. It is very intimate because you can talk to people and stuff, and it takes 1,000 hours to get to know them. But from my perspective of like seeing your work and having worked with Ryan and stuff in the past, like, and doing stuff with Ryan now and things, and sharing, and you sort of, and you sync. Yeah, there's, like, you can definitely see how an inker wouldn't suit a penciler and that sort of stuff when you start doing these sorts of things, because you have to get in a sync, man. You do have to bring some of yourself, I reckon, or you're doing yourself harm if you're the inker. You don't want to just be a tracer. You want to add some flash, I reckon, some voice, but at the same time, you pick up, and then as you go through the pages, you really do start to read what the penciler is putting down, and you're picking up flows, and and you can read where blacks are going, and you're picking up lines, and because there's also, like, I guess, abbreviations in artwork, isn't there? Instead of doing something, shading, some artists just do a couple of lines, some put a little X, like where the blacks have to be in that. So you have to, like, and everyone's different. So you got to, like, it's a gamble, the first early pages. And I found it really, exciting, man. Like, I loved the rush of it, to be honest with you, because it's like when I was doing your, inking your pencils, Ben, I was really overthinking it because it was the first time I'd inked someone else's work, and I happened to be on I think it was a Ugle club with, on a Thursday night, and I remember talking to Dave Dyer and Bo Jardine about me inking your pencils, and the two of those guys just said, stop overthinking it and just do it, and the next day I came down with some enthusiasm, was feeling good for the first time in a while, and sat down and did it. And took a while, nerve-wracking, but brilliant experience.
Did I send you the pencils, or did you photocopy them?
No, well, there's probably easier ways to do this, but here you go. Here's a story. So there's two, I guess, funny stories. Is you sent me the emails, and I don't use light boxes or any of that. I wouldn't even know how. I mean, the closest thing I'd get to a light box is like a bit of glass on my lap and a torch between my legs, I don't know how to use one of them, so I just do with what I got, So I just went to Office Works. I just said, like, I need these printed out. Give me some goddamn thick paper because I'm grey washing, and whatever. So anyway, get it back, and I'm looking at it. And this is before I had glasses. So this is the other funny part. Now, sometimes the Office Works scans, at the time, I was looking at the scans going, yeah, they're okay. And, bringing them home. And then I'd sit down and I was inking the first one. And I was like, man, I was like an inch off the page, man, like this inking. And I'm like, this isn't right. Like, it's Ben's like doing some weird feathering here. I haven't got this. I must be losing my mind. So anyway, I'm doing some other stuff. I'll just put it down for a minute, go and do some inking on some Ryan Bella stuff. And then I was like, man, Bella's pumping out these jungles. My eyesight shot to hell. It's like, man, Bella's broken my eyes. So next thing I'm like, right, optometrist, come back when you get glasses. Oh, dude, I just zipping through things, but the scans made it real they were tricky. I think a lot more detail got added to them, lots of little idiosyncrasies, because they came out a little flecks and scratches and things, and that's when I started adding the snowflakes and the black ash and that to cover certain things. So I guess it inadvertently sort of happened, but at that stage it was just taught me how to do some things, man. I guess very rewarding experience. I'm very proud of those pages that that was good times, man. That was good times. And now the next phase after Ben and I had finished was the one that interested me the most from a creative perspective. And it was Ryan's turn to pencil. And Ryan brought it home with the third story. And it was Ben's turn to ink Ryan. Now, keep in mind, too, that all of this had just come about, I guess, the three of us as pencilers and inkers coming together just from, we just wanted to try some stuff, man, and work with other people and just, broaden our horizons and just, get better as artists and stuff like that. So we were all nervous and fairly humming here, but I'm going to let these other three talk about the Ryan and Ben stuff because, that blew my mind too, seeing that.
First question, Ryan, were you surprised with what came back?
Me?
Yeah.
It looked great. I loved it. I was so nervous about penciling it. Like, it's been so long since I've had someone else ink my stuff, I think, had been.
Right.
Leigh had done a bit of stuff recently, I suppose. I wasn't sure what to, And I was just scared about actually penciling all that period style, actually. And then like, just the setting of it and all that.
Ryan, did you say that Leigh's inked some of your pencils before? Because I'd love to compare those, like what Leigh has done to your pencils as to what I've done to your pencils too. Like,
we'll be able to send you something.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I was trying to think. Do I have something? I do, but it's on the
we've done
top secret.
We can't talk about it.
I mean, we would talk about it with you, Ben,
We will,
and you actually know about it.
yeah.
But
we can talk to you about it after Chinwag, mate. So.
Nobody told Ben.
That's the story. That's the story that broke Leigh's eyes with the.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
That's that one. So
it was funny with
never
with
drawing jungles again.
So
I
got to. Sorry, go, Brian.
Sorry.
No, you're good. No.
I was just gonna say I was trying to keep the pencils really neat. I remember that, and like not putting too many lines where I would know what they were gonna be, but like you've got to ink it, so that'd be random back drawing stuff there. I was trying to keep it neat, so you wouldn't be like do some dodgy things you're not supposed to ink, and you like inking it. And,
we spoke on the phone about that too, because you were telling me the way you work is really you get your elbow right into it, like get really dirty with your work, which is interesting. Yeah, because I mean, you had a lot of suggestions about what we sort of talked about a bit of direction as well, didn't we? Like
we did, I think.
Yeah.
But we did have a chat about it. I don't know. We chatted for a while, but I don't remember what we spoke about much. We were just like, do what you want. Just go for it.
Yeah. I think with that, I was impressed with the way you work, because the way you were telling me how you work, and it's wild, and it's something that I'd love to work that way too. Like just put everything on the page, and put everything down and really rough it up. But I tried to do that a little bit, bouncing off your conversation, but I guess I was being a little neat too, maybe. I don't know.
No, that's good. That's perfect. Look, it's a good contrast. It's that nice contrast. Like, do what you normally do, and I do what I normally do, and just see what happens. Like,
yeah.
There was some neatness though, Ben. That so listening to you guys, talking about the intimacy, I feel kind of like the fourth man in the threesome. But I got to back cleanup on Ryan and Leigh's stuff, so, as in like I got to go in, so I got the pages, and when I lettered them and stuff, I asked like, so the bits and pieces around the edges, like what, and they were like, oh, go get rid of all that. And so, but then you cleaned up your pages, so I didn't get to, because one of my biggest, so I work digitally with my drawings, and one of my biggest reasons, I guess, with not drawing traditionally anymore is I find I'm very messy, and I like my stuff being neat, but then like getting to get those raw pages, I got to see that things aren't always as neat as I imagine them to be. Like there is some cleaning up and stuff done before it sees print. And just, I could see maybe a dirty hand sat there, or some ink was sort of splattered there when it probably wasn't meant.
Or a coffee drop drips off your mustache and lands down the bottom corner, and you're like, oh.
And there's, for those playing at home, there is actually some Spedsy art in this book. If you look carefully, Rosie didn't have the top of her hat here because it was meant to go off the page, but Leigh's pages are slightly a different size, and so I like to think I made that work with the lettering. I would put the lettering in those sort of borders, and what I would do is continue the smoke and stuff. So I would love a keen eye at home to be able to tell where Leigh's smoke finishes and mine begins.
That'd be a keen eye.
Yeah, that would be a keen eye. But I'm particularly I didn't expect this hat to make it in. It was meant to be in case the bleed, in case in the chopping you could see it. So I wanted to have it there rather than just stop. And it made it in. So, if you guys want me to sign it as well as one of the artists, please.
You can.
Oh, of course you can. What are you going on there? The funny, I like using the borders for artwork, and I know, people will tell you but you got to have a bleed and, tech crap, but, whatever.
Yeah.
I like to use the page, man. And I have what I can use and where I've got a pretty good idea of what can get printed. And what I try to do is because I draw through the panels, I don't like just stopping, I'm halfway through an eye. Oh, okay, I'll stop it on the panel. Nah, man, I like to flow through. The page can be a bit ski-whiff, but the body's there. And but when I'm adding things to it, I always make sure that the images will be, in the proper cut line. But some of my pages can be a bit wild. The stuff at the moment is a little bit wild, man. It's good luck with that, Spedsy.
I love it because I love that. I felt like, while we're being a bit sentimental and whatever, I felt like I had your back in those things. Like your pages are slightly wider than they are longer, but it's just knowing your style and then just making it work. There's just so I'd put the sound is coming in from the outside of the panel and then it's coming out of the panel, and I think it ends up being quite a unique looking piece in the end.
Well, man, it's all. Sometimes you just gotta let it happen in that, man, and you see what. I don't really understand the rigidity of the rules, man, and it's got to be this, it's got to be that. I mean, why can't it go there? If it, because letters and things are so integral to the story as well, with flow and following. It's such an important part of the art form, man. I think doesn't get overlooked, and I don't know why people don't use those little bits of paper to move it into the next page and stuff. It just adds to the it just adds to the pop of the page, man. I reckon, get a bit of life into it and things, and I don't know, man. I guess that's why for me predominantly, and I guess always will be, as an independent comic book creator, because I do like to try things, man. And some are hits and some are misses, mate. But that's part of the part of the packet, I guess. So
it's an interesting part of collaboration too. Is this is the first thing we did together, and we've since done a few other things. But there's a lot of sussing each other out, the bits and pieces around the. I wasn't just going to start cleaning things up and adding tops of hats and whatever. I had to say, hey, because some people are really, really precious about whatever, and you never know. So I would dare not just assume and just here's what I think, and everything's stretched and moved and whatever.
Well, that's part of the trust and I guess the intimacy and stuff we were talking about before. Because Ryan and I have spoken about, like, I mean, you've seen those pages coming backwards and forwards, man. You know, the three of us from Friday night drinking draws and talking to us, and like, and you get a pretty good gauge. You know what you can get away with and stuff with each other. And, I think.
I don't know about the hat. I don't know.
Well, I checked with the. Well, I guess you inked it,
It's
yeah.
okay.
So,
okay.
all right, sorry about that. I should have saved it for a full production meeting. I checked it with the.
Yeah.
Well, if you read,
Ryan's gone into a breakdown, man. No.
If you look in the credits of the proof here, in the credits here, it has art director Leigh Chalker. So I was doing the right thing and bringing an art question to the art director. So
I'm glad you did it. No, I'm glad you did it.
And that's like, that might seem silly to write art director in there, but I thought it needed to be credited that Leigh did so much. What would you call it? Like herding of the sheep, almost like got us all together, like it kept us inspired. Paul was bringing pages from here, inks from this guy, pencils to that guy, like, and I thought that. So this is going to be a psychojanitor book with some an assist from comics and stuff like that. I would hate for people to look at it and go, "Oh, Spedsy put this thing together," and take any of that credit away from Leigh's work in basically making this project, take shape. It was quite a unique role that he played in keeping everyone's fires stoked and keeping the ball rolling.
Yeah, so that's the two of you are responsible for pulling the whole three together, the whole design. Because that's what took me, actually, is the way you pulled all this together with just the art direction decisions, I suppose. And that's you, Leigh, there. Nice job. Because the whole thing, I mean, I know all the interior pages, but the whole production comes together.
Well, Spedsy does his magic, and then you talk, and there's some decisions, I guess, man, that I leave to Rob, because I mean, as like between all of us here, I mean, we've all got a level of trust, man, and it's and we all have our strengths, and I think you play to those strengths, man, when you're in a collaboration. I guess I'm enthusiastic. I get something in my head, I guess, that I want to do and complete, then I'll go for it. Ring Around the Rosie has probably been a real staple for me, just in terms of I love dirty, gritty stuff. I mean, anyone that's read Battle for Bustle and seen my artwork knows that. But there's also a uniqueness to Rosie that in my comic books, I've always felt, and it's no disrespect to anyone, I could be wrong, please make a comment, but I've never felt that there's enough really strong, dimensional female characters in comic books. I've always thought, you grew up with all the 90s and all that crap, like where whatever happened to grit, and people went through hard stuff in any era. You can play on that with your comic book tropes and stuff, and when Spedsy and I were talking initially, just the thoughts of a woman defending her son, and the loss of her husband, and what those feelings, and how stories, there's two sides to every story, is something that we used to say early on. There's the as you can tell by the chapter headings, there's the truth, there's reality, and then there's further on. Every side's got a different element to it, and it just stuck with me, man. And then going through the last 4 or 5 months, I guess I've gravitated back towards Rosie, because there's a whole heap of depth, and as you guys have, we've started. I mean, we seem to be catching lightning in a bottle twice, man. Hard enough to get it once. It's like, you're doing another story, Ryan's on it, I'm doing it. It's like, Spedsy's writing. There's a whole universe that's, just being created around this, densely strong, character and her son, and like all these other things. So the enthusiasm is not hard to keep up when I'm working with like people like yourselves, man. Probably the most rewarding experience in comic books for me in my time. I would probably say one of the most satisfying and rewarding experiences in my life, to be honest with you. It just came together organically. I went through stuff to get to this point, to like for it to happen, and to be finished. I'm grateful that we aren't just like people that ink each other and pencil each other. We're actually friends, so I'm grateful for that, and gone through it and got to know you through your artwork and our conversations and discussions and things like that. The hard work that you guys do, I mean, look, I really did nothing. It all comes down to you guys, man, and just the belief in the project, but and like the fact that we've all fallen in love with it. Hence, I guess, why we've started moving on to a whole, like another level of it.
Well,
it's beyond the pages.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, like as we've spoken about, Rosie was going to be a one chapter thing in noir, and then when we realized, well, if Ben and if Ryan and Leigh are going to ink each other, it should be, they should both have an opportunity to pencil and ink for each other. And then so when we expanded it to 2 chapters, we realized, oh, actually there's a 3rd chapter, we should ask someone else, and that's when Ben came on. But it's just interesting, like, so the original synopsis was like from sort of Leigh sort of saying, send me something through, and then I sent him the synopsis the next day. Now, I remember someone saying to me when I did something similar, I don't think it was meant as an insult, but they said, oh, wow, that was quick. You couldn't have given it much thought. And I was like, no, it's the opposite. It's like, you lit the spark, and it's actually all I can think about. Like, so it's like my kids are talking and I almost can't hear them because like I'm just like, and I have to put it down on paper.
That's interesting.
The interesting thing with Rosie was that, it was called Hatchet. It was very simple. It was a woman warrior seeking revenge, and she carried 2 hatchets, and so we called it Hatchet. And then the first thing you do is go to like my comic shop and type in Hatchet and see, all right, there's no comics called Hatchet. All right, sweet. But then when I started going, all right, well, now it's time to write the script. Once Leigh was sort of like digging the synopsis, well, now it's time to flesh it out a little bit, was when I started like looking into plague doctors and why they wear that mask and stuff like that. And then I was like, and they fill it with herbs and whatever. And in lots of cases, they filled it with posies. And I was like, posies, and then start googling why, and then Ring Around the Rosie popped up, and it was just like talking about I don't know if it's known as fact, but it was people theorizing that the nursery rhyme Ring Around the Rosie is based on the Black Plague, and they all fall down as they all fall down, having died from the plague. So I was like, holy moly, that's the hook, that's the thing. She's called Rosie, and and then I would love if, like, so essentially we're telling the genesis of that nursery rhyme, and how it came to be. Where was I going? I don't know. I was just
really thought about it like that. That's interesting.
Yeah. And so, and then, oh, that's right. And then Rosie went away, and that made sense because, we sort of told this one and done sort of story, but then we all kind of were eager to, like, I wish we hadn't sort of wrapped it in a bow so nicely, because we kind of all want to do more now. And, we won't spoil it, but we've got ways of telling some stuff previous and some stuff post that I think is going to, like, this went from a one shot to being an issue 0 essentially of what will be a very interesting ongoing story. particularly now, Ben, we have to do this. Oh no, Ryan wasn't there for the production meeting where we were throwing ideas around. Leigh's got some crazy ones. And so Leigh's kind of like, the bull in the paddock that's going crazy, and it needs a few of us to like hold the reins. And but I tell you, there's some stuff there that you're gonna enjoy drawing. As a guy who likes drawing some more violent sort of whatnots.
Well, it's it just. I think the story just. There's a lot of openings to pursue those things, man. And I like to think that when you're doing comic books, man, I'm not one of those sorts of guys that likes reading comic books set in the new, like in now, like right now,
Yeah.
like, hang on, I've stopped the fight, I've got an email sort of, like all the, Apple, hang on, Apple, the iPod, or whatever it's called, 13, I've just got to grab this, man, I'm sponsored by them, like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I like a little bit more of a, you sort of, you keep to a level of reality, but you got to have a little bit of, the axes of the, I mean, I think it ended up not being Hatchet because the axes I was drawing just kept getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, it is what it is. But yeah, no, it's definitely for me the most rewarding experience I've had in comic books, and a great joy. And man, creatively, it's just one of those things that it's just good to get this stuff out. Like, I mean, I guess the other thing is too, I find it funny that I guess the four of us are probably the most mellow, gentle people you could come across, and where Rosie, I would probably say, is none of those things. It's it's very sentimental, but it is particularly violent, so it's not for the faint of heart. So I like the fact that we all seem to easily gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
So
I like to think too. I like to think that we earn it. Like, it's not. There's some emotional moments in there too, and the violence is necessary. It's not gratuitous. It's not just for the sake of. I believe that it's sort of narrative-driven violence, but the world we are putting together is a brutal one. And only the toughest survive, I guess. And some of our characters won't survive. And the ones that do, will be carrying the weight of those they lost and stuff like that. I should just put my publisher promoter hat on for a sec and tell people, if you are interested, we've got a Notify Me Now Kickstarter page up at rosie.comex.studio. Sizzle and myself teaming up to put this Kickstarter together. Now, I'll just put a quick disclaimer in case people are like, a Spedsy Kickstarter. So thank you so much to everybody who backed the Sluggish Kickstarter, Sluggish 2. All the digital rewards are sent. About 60% of the physical rewards are sent. My point being that the Rosie one is not going to launch until you have Sluggish 2 in your hands. So, you don't have to worry about double dipping or that sort of whatever the case may be. It's just as what happened last year with Vamoose and Sluggish and stuff kind of coming together at the same time. Rosie and Sluggish kind of happened at the same time. And ideally, I'd give them both space. But I felt I owed it to these guys to ring around the Rosie cracking, mainly because we've got so many other things we want to follow it up with, more Rosie stuff. And we've been talking about this book for a while, so want to get it out into people's hands. So it'll be a quick campaign. It won't be asking for millions of dollars. It's just to pay for the printing. The book is 100% done. The proofs are done. So yeah, if you wanted to head to rosie.comex.studio, you will find the notify me page there. You'll also notice that it's Ring Around the Rosie plus Battery Hen. I don't want to hijack things, Leigh, but did we want to give Ryan?
We certainly do, mate. I'm glad you brought that up because we'll step away from the Ring Around the Rosie for the moment. And we will talk about my mate Ryan Vella's upcoming book, Battery Hen, which I've been privy to see it, been there with him, chatted to him about the initial idea so long ago, and watched this come to fruition too. I'm a very large admirer of Ryan's hard work and the 20 to 30 years that he's put into Australian independent comics, and Ryan's hard work to me seems to be coming to the fore, which is about bloody time. He's got Battery Hen, he's got Ring Around the Rosie, he's got Killaroo Old Man Rufus coming out, and some varying other books. Mate, Battery Hen to me is probably Ryan's, and I've got a lot of Ryan Vella books. It's probably, I would go so far as to say, your masterpiece, mate, at this particular point in time. It's a great adventure. It's a great book. Artwork is on point, my man. It's bright, it's vivid, it's got great humour. And, mate, where did Battery Hen come from?
Battery Hen? Originally, I've had that character for a fair few years, but it's been through a lot of changes over the years. Originally, it was like a middle-aged housewife with a cricket bat sort of thing, just getting revenge, housewife by day, at night as a mercenary sort of thing, bashing people. And actually this week I just found the second version of her. This is from 2018. So she still had the cricket bat. The pants are there, but everything else is not quite what she's ended up being.
When did you do that?
2018.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was gonna do a full book then of her, but the story wasn't quite there, and I did pencil it at all, but I didn't quite like it, so I scrapped all that. Till the comics thing come around, and I resurrected her, tweaked her, got rid of the cricket bat because I've seen too many characters with cricket bats, and I thought of the idea of the taser, and it made sense with the battery. They'd all come together with the name, like it all just came together perfectly. So I was super keen to do it, and I've been wanting to do a full color book where I painted it and did mixed media the whole way. So it's the first time I've done that. So it's the first thing I've written and drawn, which is all me for 5 years. Where it's all with me. But this time I've got Spedsy lettering it. It's the first time I've paid for a letterer to letter my stuff. And he did an excellent job.
Yeah, what an honor.
Really happy with that. I'm really excited about it, and I've got the second issue mostly written as well. So
you're planning on making that ongoing, yeah? You're thinking about that at the moment, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got lots of ideas, and there's characters from the first issue I want to bring back later, like not second issue, but I want to keep for later. So, and there's seeds I've planted at the start that I want to bring in later. About those little things I've sort of planned ahead. I know what I'm going to do with, but eventually I'll get around to it. So,
and Battery Hen herself is just one of quite a cast of characters. And if you're a fan of Ryan's art, the character design is next level. There are some villains that are just one in particular. I don't even know how to describe what it looks like. Like, there's slight Warlock from Generation X vibes, but in a complete other direction. Like I don't want to spoil it, but every page is just like a what? Like,
are you talking about King Fossil?
That's the guy. White Tip is a favorite as well, but yeah, King Fossil. I don't even like. Yeah.
Oh, Frangipane's not
Epic.
bad either.
That's right, Frangipane. Oh, that's Frangipane on this page there, getting his
in the corner. Yeah,
yeah.
I always like doing the villains the most. Like villains are just way more fun. So there's way more in the next issue. The second issue is going to have heaps more characters than that first one. So,
and there's stuff you've done with traditional art that, like, some of us digital folk would even be hard pressed to do. Include like you taking taking an image of your drawing, pressing go on the photocopier, and then moving the picture as the scan comes across, so that when Battery Hen gets drugged, it looks like she's tripping balls, as they say.
it's fun that. It's fun doing that stuff. Taking a chance, and I don't know what it's gonna look like till I just see a heap of them, and I pick the ones I like and rearrange it, then color it, and muck with it, and stick it down, and that's all. It keeps it really interesting. It made the whole book really just go so quickly doing it because every page was a different medium mostly. So, thank you, Carol. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing that process. So I want to keep the whole series full color, and I'll do it. I've already got ideas I haven't tried. Planning for the next book too. So
yeah, it's awesome. And like Rosie, the book is 100% done. Print file's complete. The proof is on its way. I literally got an email today saying it's been shipped. So this will be a case of if and when the Kickstarter launches, the books will be sent out like the week after the Kickstarter closes. So yeah, I feel like Battery Hen is not to be missed.
I would 100% agree, man. 100%. Actually, look, man, it's top shelf stuff, man. Like if you like Ryan Bella stuff, and you're going to definitely like Battery Hen. There is no doubt.
This time, this is my first book I think ever that's got no swearing in it.
Yeah, it's almost kid friendly if there wasn't
no
for all the.
No nudity, no swearing. I want to be a bit more accessible, and yeah, nothing full on.
Yeah,
except violence. It's violence.
Well, yeah. At the same time, you don't notice it because you don't hold back in other departments. The story is just as wild as you imagine, and there are some unique ways that villains get dispatched of, I might say.
That's the hardest part to think of. Like I always try to get the main part of the story written, and I'll just try to think of ways to dispose of everyone in the fighting and try to keep it creative. So,
it's funny because you make it doesn't look like it was hard. It looks like you were having the best fun just going, all right, there's this pond over here. I'm putting the guy's head in it. I'm setting him on fire. It's good times.
Do you have a whole arc for that, Ryan? Like you've sort of thought about where it's going to go for a couple of where it's going to go?
Yeah, a fair bit. I like keeping things self-contained issues though. I don't like ongoing, like a cliffhanger ending. There won't be nothing like that. It'll be each issue will be a story, but like it might be a character comes back. But not as a major thing though. I wouldn't bring a character back as a major feature and they just pop up in it. Yeah. So like I want to keep it. I want to bring in new ideas all the time. Just my attention span. I want to. Yeah, once I've done something with something, I kind of want to move on with them. Really, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the not continuing thing is quite a big thing. Ben and I showed Ring Around the Rosie to Antoinette Ryder of Scar on the weekend. She just happened to be at the same event we were at when I was giving Ben one of the Rosie proofs. And she was like, "What's this? Is this your art, Ben? What is it?" And then she saw the last page and she's like, "Is that it to be continued?" "Oh, I hate that." And I was like, No, it's not. It's all actually wrapped up a little too nicely, if I can be honest, because we want to keep going and we didn't leave enough room for it. And she was like,
critic.
Okay. Yeah, first critic. That's right.
Yeah, nice one too.
Yeah. A fair, so we go straight to the top when we. A legend got to look at Rosie. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful thing. So that, so as Spedsy said, that Kickstarter, there'll be the notify button, and jump out there and have a look at that. Whatever the rewards and all that other sort of stuff are, you can find out as you go through the main page. And,
yeah. So Battery Hen is a Comex Studio book. So you'll hear Sizzle alerting the world. So this is a bit of a team up between Sizzle and myself to put these books out. And Comex is kind of, we're here on a Comex show, and Comex is kind of the reason that the four of us were introduced to each other. And obviously Sizzle and Kerry and Comex and Drink and Draw and all those guys play a huge role in this book happening.
Well, it is. Mate, it is. It's another example of how a community can, work, a connection point, and that's what Comex is. That's the nexus, because Ryan and I have a history. We've known each other, on the cusp of knowing each other for probably, 15, 20 years until the last few years of Comex.
Because of her.
Because of the lady singing in the background, who used to be is the partner of a friend of mine, and they used to stay at our house many years ago, and then I was given a copy of He Died with a Falafel in his hand, and said, "Oh, this is the guitarist in my band," because at that stage I was sitting there in a kitchen drawing Battle for Bustle, and it all tied in, and we met again through the Comex community, and of course Spedsy and I, being middle-aged men that had dreams of being comic books, doing comic books and creating comic books. As we said in the past, I think it was a month apart where Devil's Toilet 1 and Battle for Bustle 1 came out together, and suddenly, off and running. And then there was Ben, who I had the great pleasure of meeting through Comex and had admired his artwork and stuff like that. And where several times on these shows, the 14-year-old boy in me has been, wow, 14-year-old Leigh wouldn't believe, the people that I've had to meet and or gotten to meet, worked with, become friends with, greatly, and heroes, man. And that's the beauty of community, man, and that's the beauty of Comex. Comex is just all about creativity, and that was the point of tonight's conversation, to I guess bring Ring Around the Rosie issue 0 sort of to a close for the four of us at this point, before we move on to the next stage of Rosie and wherever our creative juices take us. Join in, come and learn. My God, the things that I learned from working with these guys to get that comic book that's in Ben and Rob's hands, invaluable lessons. You can learn from anywhere, and without being egotistical, I think this whole experience here has improved my artwork, my creativity, the way I think about, I guess, the community industry on a whole. And the last thing I would say about Ring Around the Rosie is it is definitely probably the proudest thing that I've been associated with in my time. So, up to you if you want to go out and get it. And, it's, so I mean that wholeheartedly. Now, we'll start winding down the show. And I guess I am going to ask one question of these three, and they've probably answered it in the past on the shows they've been on with me. But I do love to ask why. And Ryan, you are first off, my friend. And then after you've answered the question, let us know, other than Battery Hen, what you got happening, where your stuff's available, and where you're at, my man.
Why?
Mm.
Oh, I don't know. Why not? I guess I don't know. I wish I knew why. I like telling stories. That's what it is.
Mm.
It's like it's a, it gets a story in your head. You're like, people have to hear it or know it. I don't know. That's a good question. My stuff, comic shop. Check it out there. Yeah, that's the place to go. Killer Old Man Rufus is out soon. Yeah, I think that's about it, really, that I can think of right now. Drumsticks of Doom, number 2 and 3, they're out, I think. So find them online. Yep, that's mine. Next.
You're a busy man. Spedsy.
Yeah, well, the why. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, my wife asked the same question. I wish I had a poetic answer. Like, kind of the why is I have to. I don't. I kind of wish I didn't. I see a happiness in my friends that I wish outside of my creative friends that a hard day at work is reward enough, and then, but I'll go to work those times when I had a proper day job, and I just don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel fulfilled until I've done some drawing, done some writing, something toward my dream. And this is something I've come to recently. I don't know. I think will forever be a dream chaser because I've spoken before on this very show, I think, about moving the goalposts. And so, like, I've achieved the dream I set out to achieve, but then I moved the goalpost. And so I think I'll forever just be chasing something. And I don't know if that chase ever ends. I don't know what I'll do with myself. I think that's what I'm meant to do. I think I'm meant to just be chasing this donut on a string that's just outside of my reach. Because it's all I've ever done and it's all I've ever known. So I don't know. If I get to eat the donut one day, what will it taste like? Will it taste like regret? I don't know. Well, yeah, so almost.
No regrets, mate.
I'm about to send a huge lot of books up to comics.shop because my stuff, a few bits and pieces have been missing. And one of those will be Sluggish 2. So Sluggish 2, again, I thank everybody for putting up with me on all the social medias because I've been so Sluggish 2, Kickstarter. But yeah, so that book is out and will be amongst people very soon. I also wanted to shout out Peter Lane. I have some stuff in his books, Sky's Cavern Library, one of the best books in the Australian indie scene, always well put together issues. And I'm always privileged to get little assignments here and there to be part of it. And Flyboys from Nick Cleary, same sort of thing. Nick Cleary, Quick Nick, does amazing books. And when I get to be a part of them, put some bits and pieces in things, it's an honor and I'm privileged to do so. So shout out to those guys. What about you, Benjamin?
Why?
I think I liked yours, Ryan, being able to tell a story. But I think also because I can't really do anything else. I'm not very good at anything else. I've had other jobs that I've failed miserably, but this one I do okay. So
that's a good answer.
It's good.
Yeah.
I can't do much else. Unfortunate truth.
Nothing like using your skills. I think that's what it is. Like, some people are good at building houses and they use those skills to pay the bills. So it is a privilege when you get to use the thing that you're good at. Just to totally hijack your answer, but if I could,
that's
my answer as well. Yeah.
No, it's better said, Rob. Yeah, well, that's right. And of course, I love it, and I couldn't think of doing anything else anyway. What do I have out? I'm working on a new Toby 3 at the moment, which might not be out for a while. what is that? Well, there's DK is always out. I've got a lot of work with Darren Kozel with his retro sci-fi. The last issue was out, 2 months ago, issue 11.
That's darkoz.com.
Darkoz, yes. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Yeah. Darren will thank you. I'm working on lots of things, doing a parody at the moment of, but you wouldn't be able to find that. It's hard to know what's coming. I work with Comic X, with Shane's new book.
Yes, Idris Perceptions.
Yes.
Available right now, comics.shop.
With Hayden scripted that as well. He did a great job. I'll leave it there. One
of speaking of Hayden Spurrell, one of Hayden and I's pet projects that we want to be Ben's social media manager, because one of the best illustrators in Australia that is well known within our community, but needs to be better known. The man of 4 Instagrams and 0 passwords. One day we're gonna fix all that, streamline it all. It's on the to-do list.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure what his house number is. So,
exactly.
Maybe
like I said, I can't do anything else.
Yeah, 3 houses doesn't have a key to any of them.
Yes. All right. Well, I guess I do it because the same reason as these guys. I love it. I love being able to contribute to the community in the industry that I am part of and have always wanted to be part of. I love meeting people. I love talking shop. I love, listening to people's stories. And that's what Chinwag is all about. That's the most important thing, because everyone does have their story. To me, everyone's story is important. Tuesday Chinwags have been one of the highlights as well for me during my time. And drawing, creativity, it's just one of those things you can't stop. It's a compulsion, and I just, you either understand or you don't, unfortunately. It's something you need to do. It's like breathing, man. It's like crying. It's better in than out. So it's the best way I can describe it. So I would like...
Sorry, just before we go, I should save this for production meeting, but I thought there's another thing you 3 do, and that's painting. If we ever get to meet the 4 of us in person, you guys should paint together on one canvas.
Mm-hmm.
We should do
just saying, you're known in this circle for sequential art, but you're both all 3 of you are avid painters. So we should have a drink and paint. Or, Leigh, you can have a cordial. Get the paintbrushes out.
Water that night, mate, and probably lots of it. So. And a bloody good yak. But all right. Well, look, just on finishing up the first show back, I guess. Look, I'd just like to say thank you to Comex. So that's Shane and Carey, obviously, and. Thank you for everyone's patience. It's been an interesting start to the year for me. For a lot of you, the year's passed very quickly. For me, I feel like I have walked 1,000,000 miles, and I certainly didn't feel like a little while ago that I was probably going to get back to do another Chinwag. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. To the people that supported me in the community and those out of the community, much love and appreciation, and I mean that wholeheartedly. And thank you very much for being part of my journey. And hopefully I don't let anyone down, and we'll see how we go from here. Only forward. All right, so now, don't forget to like and subscribe the channels, because that is important. That keeps all those algorithms and all those, YouTube time, space, and interface bells and buzzers and reminders and stuff going, and keep you in the loop about things. Don't forget to press notify on the Ring Around the Rosie and Battery Hen Kickstarter, which will be coming at you sooner rather than later. it would be a joy to get that into people's hands. It has been crafted and created with much love and great pleasure, which I think hopefully you've discovered tonight from us all talking together. I guess in the next couple of weeks, that's one thing we should ask the old Spedsy. When's your drinking drawback, bud? What's your date for that?
Not sure. I think we might even be back this Friday, but I don't know for sure. So don't hold me to that, but it'll be all over the everywheres. But I should say on behalf of the audience, because I count myself as an audience member, this is my favorite weekly show. It's good to have you back, Leigh. Honored to be first re-guest with Ryan and Ben. We've all been on the show before, but to do it, for you to come back and for you to want it to do it with us three, I don't take that lightly. In fact, I take it quite heavily. But yeah, you're really good at this. I know you don't like compliments, particularly in public, but I would say there are a great many people that are happy that this show is back, and I wish you every success, and please don't stop. Keep on moving forward. Community is unity. All those other awesome catchphrases of yours.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that, man. Believe me, it means a lot. So as next week's show is Angie Spice. So we'll be back into normal who, what, where, when, how, and whys with that. Angie's in the middle of a Kickstarter for her work at the moment, and it's going great success. And Angie is a very talented and very interesting creator, and it should be a good show next week. So we will continue to keep the roll on for Tuesday Chinwags. And I guess Spedsy beat me to it, but the last thing I always like to say on these shows is community is unity. Thank you. See you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, man. Thanks, everybody.
This show is sponsored by the Comex Shop. Check out comex.cx for all things Comex and find out what Comex is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.